Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, or I should say welcome back to my channel. Yes, I know it's been a while since I made a video, but I thought I would dive right back in. Today I want to talk about how the coronavirus has affected my business, my antique booth business, my Amazon business, my eBay business, and even my Airbnb business. So stay tuned. Alright, first of all, I want to talk about my Airbnb business. As you know, the coronavirus has cut travel big time. People just aren't traveling right now. They're scared, and I don't blame them. But when you have an Airbnb, or if you're a hotel owner and you use the same difference, you rely on that, booking money as part of your income. Well, back in January, I had an inquiry from a man named Roy who wanted to book my place for 5 to 6 months. He was coming to town, actually he was coming to Macon, which is right next door. He wanted to book for 5 to 6 months, and I had to tell him no because I really don't do long-term rentals, just short-term through Airbnb and VRBO. Had to tell him no because, well, I had other reservations on the books. He wanted to start in April and go from there. Well, I had reservations. Well, the coronavirus hit, and all my reservations after middle of March just died. They all went away. Everybody canceled. And that left April and May wide open. There were a few spatter reservations for June and July and onward, but the initial couple of months ahead were just dead. Luckily, Roy emailed me back, said, hey, I know you don't do long term, but can we do it month by month through Airbnb? Since I see that you don't have any, reservations. I said, sure. So he came in on April 1st, and I was talking to him. I said, look, May is clear now too if you want to go ahead and reserve for May so no one else can jump in there. So he did. So I had a standing reservation for all of April and all of May at that point. Well, around mid-March, Governor Kemp, the governor of Georgia, issued his shelter-in-place order, which not only told people to stay home, obviously, but it also, he closed all short-term vacation rentals. That freaked me out because, well, I'd already gotten Roy's money, obviously, and I didn't want to have to tell him to leave. The caveat was, thankfully, that if someone had already paid their money, paid for their reservation, they didn't have to get out immediately. They could stay to the end of their reservation. Well, that saved Roy for all of April. Well, in the meantime, after I talked to Roy, he had also booked for May. Thankfully, he'd already put it on his credit card. So he'd already paid for May as well. So, ideally, he's here for the rest of April and all of May. And probably will reserve some in June and July as well. I have a few scattered reservations in that time, but maybe they'll cancel, or we'll work it out one way or the other. But Roy, a long-term renter, saved me for April and May. What the future, has in store for me, I don't know as far as my Airbnb business. Hopefully, once all these shelters in place get lifted, people start traveling again. I don't know if they'll travel quickly for, pleasure, because, well, we're not a big tourist town anyway. But business will pick up, hopefully, which means my business will pick up, and as long as I can keep Roy in there for a while, I'll be okay. So while the coronavirus has impacted my Airbnb business, it could have been worse. My antique booths, though, are a different story. The mall where we have our 2 booths is located adjacent to the interstate. I mean, you pass right by it and you can't help but see the huge sign, Antiques. And the mall gets a lot of travelers from people going up and down on Interstate 75 through Georgia right into Florida. Gets a lot of snowbirds who come back and forth, winter in Florida, go home during the summer up north. So lots of travelers along that highway. Of course, when there are no travelers along that highway, except workers, not everybody's going to stop and, check out the antiques. There's nothing in that mall you have to have, as the owner told me one time. Everything in this mall is just something that you want. And when you don't have a job, when you're worried about your future, You just don't go to the antique mall to pick up that cast iron fry pan to hang on your wall, or learn how to paint, with the antique paint. You just don't do it. So business in mid-March just died. No traffic in the mall at all. All places depend on traffic, but when you actually depend on traffic outside your door to get people in, it's just a no-win situation. So the mall closed. Okay, a little bit about my relationship and every dealer's relationship with the mall is you pay booth rent. That's all you pay. My booth rent for the two booths is roughly $700 a month. It sounds like a lot, but they're two pretty big booths. But it's like having a brick and mortar store without having to worry about, well, you got to pay your rent, but it's not near the kind of rent you'd have to pay if you were actually renting a store. You don't have to pay electricity, you don't have to pay water, you don't have to pay people to work the counter. You just set it and forget it, the corner phrase from a commercial. You bring your stuff in, set it up, price it, go home, and the antique mall takes care of everything else, which is cool. And the money you make during the month, they take your rent out of it. So if you sell $1,000 worth in that month, and your rent is $700, well, you'll get $300 from them. That would be your profit for the month. Pretty easy, pretty simple, nice and neat. I liked it. And that's why we got this warehouse right here, so we can bring stuff in, have room for it to, bring stuff in and out of the antique mall. And it's worked fine. But when the coronavirus hit, well, no traffic means no sales. The thing is, though, the mall itself, they don't charge commissions. They just charge the set monthly booth rent, which is fine. It works well. I like it. But they make the same amount of money whether you make any sales or not. If you don't have enough sales to cover your booth rent, well, you're going to have to write them a check. And the whole time we've been there, about 3 years, we've only had to pay them once, and that's when we first started. We've sold enough every month that we've got a little money from them. Well, they closed in mid-March. And they think they might get open in May, but they don't know. And even if they do open in mid-May, will they get enough traffic to make it worthwhile? For example, they could have their doors open right now, but if there's no traffic, no customers, they're still going to get their money from me. But I'm not going to make any money to pay them, if that makes sense. So I'm going to have to think about if business does not come back to the antique mall, I'm going to have to think about taking my booths out. Now, we didn't make a whole lot of money every month on the antique mall. Depending on the season, we can make anywhere from $300, sometimes close to $1,000 a month. Usually it's more on the 300 side, but still, that's a nice chunk of change. We would pick up antique mall stuff while we're out yard selling every Friday, Saturday. And that's why I got the antique mall, because I'd be seeing stuff out in the yard sales. So I'd say, hey, I could put that in an antique booth. So I did, and we've been doing fairly well. But now, the future of that is in question. Will traffic come back? Will people start shopping at the mall again? Will traffic along Interstate 75 pick up? I'm sure it will, but will it pick up enough to make it worthwhile that I don't have to pay the antique mall rent every month out of my own pocket instead of a profit? I just don't know. I can't answer that. Hopefully, in the near future, we'll figure that out, and I'll keep you up to date. But for right now, the antique booth is a big question mark for me. All right, let's talk about sales. I've said they've been steady, and they really have. eBay has seen an uptick. Amazon's, about the same. But for the month of April, just on my Amazon, I call it my book sales. It's Amazon, Alibris, and Biblio, and it includes some DVDs and a few CDs. I've sold about $1,200 so far this month. That's pretty good. $1,200 worth of books for the month. Over on eBay, I've sold just for the past 30 days, we'll call it a month, I've sold $1,800 worth. Again, pretty good. That's up 2% from what I normally do. I was hoping for a bigger, jump, obviously, but I'll take it. No problems at all. So between those two, we're doing pretty good on sales for the month. And I sound like Captain Kirk. But seriously, I can't complain about my sales. I wish they were more, but they are what they are. All right, that's going to wrap it up for me today. I hope you've enjoyed my video. I've tried to make it informative. It probably wasn't very entertaining, but I did my best. I'm going to try to do better. Kudos to everybody who does this for a living. Kudos to everybody who makes these videos every week, every other day. However you do it, I don't see how you find time or find the inclination to do it. It's a lot of work, and for people who've never done it, you just don't realize how hard this is. They make it look easy. I make it look hard. What can I say? But you go out, be safe, wear your mask, and we'll talk again.